You won't believe what Congresswoman Madeleine Dean said to Pam Bondi on live TV. It wasn't just rude, it was a straight-up threat. But Pam? She didn't blink. She fired back with one sentence, and left the entire room stunned. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give the video a big thumbs up, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment like this, because here, we bring you the raw political showdowns the mainstream media tries to bury. Now buckle up, because this one? It gets real fast. It was supposed to be a civil panel. Polished. Controlled. Just another day in D.C. But when Pam Bondi and Madeleine Dean found themselves seated on opposite ends of a heated debate about legal overreach and political prosecution, things didn't stay civil for long. Dean is smug, confident, backed by media bias, leaned forward mid-segment and dropped a line so bold it had people grabbing their remotes. People like Pam Bondi need to be careful. Words have consequences. The camera didn't cut. The room didn't move. The moment just hung there, thick with tension. Let's call it what it was, a veiled threat. You could feel the discomfort. The moderator shuffled papers. The audience stiffened. But Pam? She sat still. Calm. Composed. A former attorney general who's heard worse in courtrooms, from tougher people, under far more pressure. And then, without raising her voice or changing her tone, she turned to Dean. And delivered a sentence so cold it felt like the temperature dropped. You just made a mistake. That's when the panel froze. Not a sound. Not a breath. Everyone watching, from the studio to homes across the country, could feel the weight of what just happened. Because Pam Bondi didn't come for drama. She came with truth. And when she strikes, she doesn't need to shout. She just makes it hurt. But to understand the fire building under that moment, we've got to rewind. There were warning signs. Past interviews. Subtle digs. And then Bondi's now viral defense of President Trump just days earlier that had the left in a panic. The moment those 5 words left Pam Bondi's lips, "You just made a mistake," the panel felt like it dropped 10 degrees. Pam didn't raise her voice. She didn't lean in. She didn't need to. She just held that steady stare as Madeleine Dean blinked, then looked away. That was it. No screaming match. No chaos. Just one calm sentence that told the whole room, Pam wasn't rattled, but Dean should be. You could feel the tension ripple through the studio. Even the moderator, who had been struggling to keep things civil, suddenly looked unsure of what to say next. And Dean? She tried to collect herself. Flipped through her notes like she was looking for something, anything, to grab hold of. But it was clear, she'd just swung first and missed. Badly. Because what she didn't count on was Pam Bondi being 10 steps ahead. See, this wasn't the first time someone tried to corner Pam on national television. She's been through fire, courtroom battles, media smear campaigns, political pressure, and never once folded. But this time was different. Because this wasn't just about her. This was about a larger pattern, something your average American is sick and tired of watching unfold: liberals in power using threats, fear, and intimidation to silence people who tell the truth. And that's exactly what Dean tried to do. She didn't disagree with Pam's words, she tried to punish her for saying them. That comment, "Words have consequences," wasn't about debate. It was a warning: shut up, or we'll come after you. But that's not how Pam Bondi operates. She waited patiently, then addressed the moderator without ever raising her voice. I've seen real threats. I've prosecuted real criminals. What just happened here? That wasn't courage. That was fear, dressed up in power. Oof. That one stung. And you could tell Dean knew it. Her expression changed. Her confidence cracked just a little. Because here's what was happening behind the scenes: Pam Bondi was gaining ground. In the weeks leading up to this panel, she'd been speaking out not just in defense of Trump, but about what so many everyday Americans have been feeling, that the justice system is being turned into a political weapon. That if you stand up for your beliefs, someone in power will try to shut you down. And people were listening. Pam's speeches were getting shared like wildfire across conservative circles. Her interviews were going viral. Seniors, veterans, moms, blue-collar workers, they were saying the same thing. Finally, someone who's not afraid to speak plain truth. And Dean? She saw that. She saw the influence. The momentum. The clarity of Bondi's message. And she hated it. So what did she do? She showed up to the panel with a game plan, play nice at first, then sneak in the dagger. Put Bondi on the defensive. Create a headline. But what she didn't prepare for was Pam flipping the script. Pam didn't fall apart. She didn't get rattled. She didn't even get angry. She got stronger. And Dean? The more she tried to regain her footing, the worse it got. She threw out a shaky line, something about protecting democracy from dangerous speech. But it was too late. The room wasn't buying it. Pam turned toward her again, cool as ever. Democracy doesn't need protection from opinions. It needs protection from people who threaten others for having them. You could have heard a pin drop. That line hit home not just in the room, but across America. Within minutes, clips started spreading across social media. People were saying things like, Pam just ended her. Finally, someone calls out the threats without yelling. Dean tried to intimidate her and got humbled real quick. Even folks who hadn't followed the segment started tuning in once the clips hit Facebook and YouTube. Because in just a few calm, precise moments, Pam Bondi had done something powerful. She exposed Madeleine Dean's true motive without ever saying her name in anger. She showed the country and the world that standing your ground doesn't require noise, just courage. And once again, Pam reminded us why she's not just a voice. She's a force. While Madeleine Dean sat quietly, trying to recover from her on-air blunder, Pam Bondi didn't let up, not with volume, not with outrage, but with something far more dangerous to her opponents, clarity. She didn't need to shout. She just kept speaking with that steady, fearless tone, the kind that makes the room lean in and pay attention. We're living in a time where simply telling the truth will get you labeled, silenced, or threatened, she said. And the people doing the threatening? They're sitting in Congress. That wasn't just a dig at Dean, it was a warning shot to the entire left. By this point, the panel was no longer a conversation. It was a masterclass in composure. Dean kept her eyes down. The moderator fumbled to regain control. But Pam? She owned the room. And outside that room? America was watching. Across social media, the clips were blowing up. Conservative accounts shared it first, but soon it was everywhere. Seniors, veterans, and middle America patriots were flooding comment sections with praise. Pam just said what we've been thinking for years. This is how you handle a bully in power, with truth and strength. No yelling. No drama. Just class. But not everyone was cheering. The liberal media scrambled to contain it. Within hours, talking heads were out in full force. CNN tried to spin it, saying Bondi was overreacting and Dean's comment was misunderstood. MSNBC called it spirited debate and claimed both women were equally passionate. But America had already seen the clip. The truth was out there raw, unedited, and impossible to spin. You can't gaslight people who saw it live. You can't repackage a threat and pretend it was a compliment. Pam's sentence, "You just made a mistake," had become a rally cry. And the timing couldn't have been worse for Dean. Just days earlier, she had gone on record talking about the need for unity and respectful dialogue. Now, here she was, threatening a fellow woman live, on national television, and getting absolutely humbled by a calm, controlled response. It exposed everything. And Pam? She wasn't done. When the moderator finally gave her the floor again, Bondi leaned forward and dropped another line, this one aimed not just at Dean, but at every politician trying to use fear to control the narrative. I didn't come here to be liked. I came here to speak for the people who don't have a microphone and who are tired of being told to sit down and stay quiet. That line hit hard. You could see heads nodding in the audience. Even some who weren't known to lean conservative started looking at Pam differently. Because this wasn't just a political fight anymore. It was a moral one. Pam had just done what so many Americans wished they could do. Calmly stand up to someone in power who thought they could bully their way through disagreement. And the best part? She did it without ever raising her voice. That's what really made the moment viral. That's what your audience felt in their gut. It wasn't about left versus right anymore. It was about courage versus cowardice. Substance versus spin. The news cycle couldn't bury it. The clips had already hit Facebook like wildfire. Pam's name was trending. Fox News ran it all night. Newsmax pulled up side-by-side comparisons of the moment. Conservative radio lit up with callers praising her poise. One caller said it best, "I'm a grandfather. I've seen politicians come and go. But that woman right there? That's who I want in the ring fighting for us." Meanwhile, Dean? She stayed silent. No apology. No explanation. Just a quiet press release the next day saying she was focused on unity. Too late. Pam had already spoken for the people. And she didn't need to scream to do it. By the next morning, the clip had already been viewed over 6 million times. And not just on X or Facebook, it was circulating through text messages, email chains, church groups, veterans networks, and political forums across the country. Pam Bondi had done what no one else dared to do, calmly, confidently, and completely humiliate a sitting Democrat congresswoman on live television with just a sentence. But it wasn't just the sentence that won people over. It was the way she said it. No eye roll. No shouting. No name calling. Pam didn't stoop to Madeleine Dean's level, she simply exposed her. And Americans? They noticed. Within 24 hours, conservative influencers were calling it the moment of the month. Fox News did a special breakdown of the confrontation, with a full segment dedicated to Pam's response. Sean Hannity praised her restraint. Laura Ingraham called her the new gold standard for conservative women. But it wasn't the media buzz that made the difference. It was the people. Pam's email inbox? Flooded. Her office? Non-stop calls. Social media? Overflowing with messages like, "You handled that like a true professional. Thank you for standing up for us without losing your cool. We're proud to have someone like you out there fighting back." Even local AM radio stations in rural towns across Georgia, Ohio, and Texas were replaying her line, "You just made a mistake," like it was gospel. And what was Dean doing during all of this? Hiding. No follow-up statement. No apology. Not even a tweet clarifying her remarks. Because she knew. She knew she messed up. And more importantly, she knew Pam had the people behind her now. It wasn't just the right who rallied around Bondi. Many independent voters, even a few on the left, admitted that Dean had crossed a line. One retired teacher in Wisconsin commented, "I don't always agree with Pam Bondi politically, but that was class. Dean tried to bully her, and she didn't take the bait." That's leadership. That's the thing, Pam didn't just win a moment, she won trust. And trust is everything in politics. While the mainstream media tiptoed around Dean's comment, conservative America leaned in closer to Bondi. They saw themselves in her. Calm under pressure, principled, and unwilling to let bullies redefine the conversation. She spoke for every American who's ever been shut down, told to watch their words, or warned to be careful for having an opinion. Pam stood up without ever leaving her seat. And that kind of strength? It resonates. Within days, new petitions started popping up online, urging Pam to run for Senate. Local Republican leaders from Florida to Arizona were praising her as the fighter we need right now. Her profile, already strong, just leveled up overnight. But here's the kicker, Pam didn't brag. She didn't run to the cameras. She didn't turn this moment into a self-congratulatory media tour. She stayed focused. In an exclusive interview days later, when asked what she thought about Dean's veiled threat, Pam simply said, "I think Americans are smart enough to see what that was. And I think they're tired of it. I'm not interested in threats or headlines. I'm interested in telling the truth and protecting the people who feel like they don't have a voice anymore." Boom. Right back to the people. That one quote alone was clipped and shared across thousands of Facebook pages. Conservative moms groups, law enforcement forums, military veteran communities all reposting it with captions like, "This woman gets it. This is how you speak for the silent majority. She said what needed to be said." Meanwhile, Dean remained quiet. Not because she didn't have something to say, but because she couldn't say it without reminding the country of what she tried to do. Any response would just bring more attention to the clip. And the last thing her party wanted was another replay of Pam's calm takedown. So Dean did what weak leadership often does, she disappeared. And in that silence, Pam's voice got louder. Not by shouting, but by showing America that there's still such a thing as grace under fire. And that you don't need to scream to win a fight. You just need to stand your ground and let the people see the truth for themselves. By the end of the week, the media had moved on. But the American people hadn't. Because while headlines shifted to the next distraction, that 5-second moment Pam Bondi calmly staring down Madeleine Dean and delivering "You just made a mistake" had already etched itself into the hearts of millions. It wasn't just about the sentence anymore. It was about what it represented. It reminded people that no matter how loud the media gets, no matter how twisted politics becomes, there are still leaders who don't fold under pressure. Who don't throw tantrums or play victim. Who fight with truth, not tactics. And Pam Bondi? She didn't just win a debate. She showed a nation what real leadership looks like in the face of condescension and cowardice. You know what happened after that panel? Madeleine Dean's team quietly pulled her from 2 upcoming appearances. She rescheduled interviews. She avoided questions about the incident. Behind closed doors, aides scrambled to do damage control, not because of what she said, but because of how badly it backfired. Dean thought she could land a cheap shot and walk away looking powerful. Instead, she walked right into a firestorm, one she lit herself. Meanwhile, Pam didn't need to respond again. She didn't keep talking. She let the people do that for her. And they did, in churches, in diners, on front porches, in Facebook comment sections, and conservative radio talk shows coast to coast. Because what resonated wasn't just the clapback. It was the character behind it. Here was a woman who didn't panic under pressure. She didn't lash out. She didn't make it about herself. She kept it cool. Professional. Unshaken. And in that stillness, she absolutely crushed her opponent. That's what made this moment different. That's what made it stick. Because America is craving calm strength in a world full of chaos. Pam Bondi gave them that. And in doing so, she did something no headline or viral tweet can erase. She earned their respect. Let's be real, we've seen a lot of shouting on TV. A lot of finger pointing. A lot of political theater. But what we saw that day between Pam Bondi and Madeleine Dean, that was something rare. That was real. And it reminded millions of Americans, especially the ones who feel ignored, ridiculed, or dismissed, that they're not alone. That there's still someone out there who speaks like they do, thinks like they do, and most importantly, stands firm like they do. Pam didn't destroy Dean with insults. She did it with integrity. She did it with courage. She did it with 5 words that cut through the noise like a hot knife through butter. You just made a mistake. Simple. Unshakable. And unforgettable. One woman sat silent. The other made history. Pam Bondi didn't need a crowd behind her. She didn't need applause. All she needed was the truth and 5 words that sent the whole room scrambling. If this fired you up, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a flexed biceps in the comments if you're proud to stand with women like Pam who don't back down. Because this isn't just politics anymore. It's a fight for courage. And Pam Bondi just showed America how it's done.